breakups. It's one of those things, right? Just part of being human, I guess. It's almost like a rite of passage, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It's something that most of us go through at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be, it can be really rough.
Totally. And today we're not here to dwell on the initial sting of a breakup. We've all been there, felt that. But what we are interested in is what comes after. That journey of, picking yourself back up and moving forward.
Exactly. It's that whole process of healing and coming out the other side, hopefully stronger and wiser.
And that's actually what led us to this really interesting material. You wouldn't believe it, but it's actually designed for English language learners.
Yeah, it's meant to help them understand and express their feelings, especially around relationships and emotions.
And I thought that was so fascinating because, whether you're learning a new language or not, those feelings after a breakup, they're universal. Everyone experiences them in some way.
Absolutely. And that's what we want to explore today. We're calling it, for our deep dive today, From Breakup to Glow Up.
From breakup to glow up. I like that. It's catchy.
Yeah.
So let's dive into it. What are some of the key takeaways, the really useful insights that we can glean from this material, stuff that can actually help people navigate the ups and downs of a breakup and ultimately come out, well, glowing?
Well, I think one of the most important things to acknowledge right off the bat is that the immediate aftermath of a breakup can be a real whirlwind of emotions. It's not just sadness, although that's definitely a big part of it.
Right. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
The material we looked at specifically talks about sadness, anger, confusion. You might even feel all of them at the same time.
Yeah, totally. It can be so confusing, right? One minute you're crying, the next you're furious, and then you just feel completely lost.
And what's interesting is that there's often this pressure to pretend like you're fine, like you're just breezing through it.
Yeah.
Scroll through social media, and everyone seems to be moving on effortlessly.
Oh, absolutely. The whole I woke up like this mentality,
Yeah.
right. But let's be real. Nobody just bounces back overnight.
Exactly. And the material actually points this out, this tendency we have to want to appear fine. But, real healing starts with acknowledging the hurt, not trying to sweep it under the rug.
Because a breakup, even though it can feel like the end of the world, doesn't mean you're broken, right?
No, not at all. The material actually says, and this is a great quote, it doesn't mean you're broken, it just means something needed to change.
Okay, so we're acknowledging those initial, sometimes messy feelings. Now, as you start to process everything, are there common mistakes that people make? Things you should try to avoid doing after a breakup?
Oh, for sure. And the material highlights a few key ones. Like one of the biggest is jumping into a new relationship too quickly.
Classic rebound.
Right. Yep. And it's so tempting because it seems like an easy way to distract yourself from the pain.
It's almost like a Band-Aid solution, isn't it?
Right. Exactly.
Mm.
But it can actually prevent you from fully processing the previous relationship and figuring out what you really need moving forward.
So it's like you're just delaying the inevitable, really.
Right. And another thing to avoid is blaming yourself for everything.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's so easy to fall into. You just start overthinking everything.
I know, right? You replay every conversation, every little detail, and you're like, it was all my fault.
And you can really get stuck in that cycle of blame.
Yeah, but the material is really clear about this. It says, and I'm quoting again here, don't blame yourself for everything. Relationships are complex. It's almost always a two-way street.
And another thing I think that people sometimes do is just try to ignore their feelings altogether.
Oh yeah, just bottle it all up and hope it goes away.
Exactly.
But the material emphasizes that ignoring your emotions won't make them disappear. They'll just come out in other ways, maybe unhealthy ways.
Like a pressure cooker, right?
Oh, yeah.
Eventually it's going to explode.
Yeah. So it's important to acknowledge those feelings, process them in a healthy way.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the pitfalls, some things to avoid. What about the positive steps you can take? What can you do to start moving toward that glow up?
Well, one of the most basic, but also one of the most powerful things you can do is talk about how you're feeling.
Just get it all out there.
Exactly. It could be with a friend, a family member, a therapist, or even just writing it down in a journal.
It can be so helpful to just put words to those feelings.
And the material specifically mentions talking to a friend, a therapist, or keeping a journal. The key is to find what works for you.
So it's about expressing those emotions, not keeping them bottled up.
Right. And then there's self-care.
Self-care. That can feel almost too simple, can't it? Like, oh, I'm going to take a bubble bath and all my problems will disappear. But there's actually a lot of power in that, right?
There really is. The material emphasizes the importance of taking care of yourself physically, eating well, getting enough sleep, exercising.
Because when you're feeling down, taking care of yourself can be the last thing you want to do, but it can make such a difference.
It can. And think about it. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects.
So it's not just about looking good, it's about feeling good too.
Exactly. And the material also talks about setting new goals.
Yeah, that sounds proactive.
It is. It's about channeling your energy into something positive. Learning a new skill, taking up a new hobby, focusing on your career.
And it gives you something to look forward to, right?
Exactly. And then there's something that might seem a little counterintuitive at first.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's about embracing solitude.
Oh, that's interesting because I think a lot of people's instinct after a breakup is to surround themselves with people, right?
Yeah, that's a very common
To
reaction.
kind of fill that void.
Exactly.
Ah,
But the material points out that spending time alone can be really valuable.
in what way?
Well, it gives you a chance to reconnect with yourself, to figure out who you are outside of the relationship.
I see. So it's about rediscovering yourself.
Exactly. It's a time for introspection and self-discovery.
So we keep talking about this glow up, but what does that really mean? It's more than just a physical transformation, right?
Absolutely. It's about becoming a stronger, wiser, more confident version of yourself.
And the material talks about things like increased self-worth and the ability to set healthier boundaries in future relationships.
Yes. You learn from your experiences, even the painful ones, and you use that knowledge to grow.
So it's about coming out of this experience with a better understanding of yourself and what you want.
Right. And, it's fascinating that this material, which is designed for English language learners, actually provides some really useful phrases that can help people going through a breakup.
Oh, that's right. Like they're not just learning vocabulary, they're learning how to express their feelings in a healthy way.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these phrases are so simple, but so powerful. Like, it's okay to feel sad. I'm healing.
That one really resonates with me because it acknowledges that sadness is a natural part of the process.
Right. And it reminds you that healing takes time.
And then there's this one. I'm focusing on myself right now. That's such a good way to set boundaries.
It is. It's a clear and concise way to communicate your needs.
And what about this one? That relationship taught me a lot.
I love that one. It's about focusing on the positive, even though it might be hard to see it at first.
It's about seeing the experience as a learning opportunity.
Right. And finally, there's this one. I'm stronger than I thought.
It's a reminder of your resilience.
Exactly. These phrases can be really helpful, whether you're learning English or just learning to cope with a breakup.
So to kind of sum it all up, breakups are tough. There's no doubt about that. But as this material shows us, they can also be a catalyst for incredible growth.
They can. It's like the end of one chapter and the beginning of a new, maybe even better one.
And it's important to remember that healing takes time. Be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to feel those emotions.
Exactly. There's no rush.
And as you move forward, whether you're going through this yourself or supporting someone else, maybe take a moment to think about what small step you can take today towards your own glow up. It could be something as simple as taking a walk, reading a book, calling a friend.
Anything that nourishes your mind, body, or spirit.
It all adds up. And just remember, you're stronger than you think. Your glow up is coming.
It really is. And on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.